Wow, AI is really moving at lightning speed these days, huh? But the stuff you sent me about what Google's cooking up, this is like next level stuff. We're diving deep into Gemini 2.0 today, straight from the source. Gemini 2.0, el amanecer de la IA multimodal y el razonamiento avanzado. Okay, let's cut through the hype, yeah.
Yeah.
What we really want to do here is figure out what's actually so groundbreaking about this AI and what it could mean for you and me, without drowning in a sea of jargon.
Yeah, for sure. And the first thing that really jumps out from the source is that they're not just talking about Gemini 2.0 as a little step forward, right?
Yeah.
It's like a whole new paradigm of what AI can actually do, like how it understands things, how it thinks, how it creates. It's different, not just better.
Okay, so let's unpack that different, right? The announcement keeps using this phrase, revolutionary reasoning. It's saying Gemini 2.0 can grapple with these super complicated problems in math, in science, even logic, with like a whole new level of smarts. It even talks about breaking down these massive problems, figuring out the best strategies to tackle them. So what is it under the hood that makes this kind of leap possible?
Well, one of the really interesting things they highlight is this refined neural architecture they're using. Think of it this way, like older AI models, they had this set pathways for processing information, right? This new architecture, it's way more intricate, way more adaptable with all these new connections. It allows the AI to analyze information in a way more nuanced way and make connections that just weren't possible before. It's not just about feeding it more data, it's about enabling it to think more like we do, making associations, understanding context on a deeper level.
And then they throw in this flash thinking mode. I mean, it sounds almost instantaneous. Like the source describes it as this super optimized mode for like crazy fast, precise reasoning, especially in the situations where every second counts. They gave some examples like real-time financial analysis, urgent medical diagnoses. I mean, if it's as fast as they say, what kind of impact could we actually see in the real world from something like that?
I mean, you're right that speed is a game changer. If we think about how that flash thinking could be applied, right, it could be huge for those high-pressure, fast-moving scenarios. Imagine a doctor getting almost instantaneous analysis of, like, critical patient data or financial systems that can react to market shifts in real time. It's moving towards AI that can think on its feet, so to speak, with amazing precision under pressure.
And the potential to speed up scientific discovery, that seems huge too, like predicting how proteins fold or simulating things out in space. That stuff takes massive computing power and it's super complex. The document hints that Gemini 2.0 could really accelerate things in those fields. I mean, how do you see that actually playing out?
That raises a really interesting question about the future of scientific research, right? Like, if AI can take on some of the heavy lifting, the number crunching, the simulations, well, then scientists are free to focus on the bigger picture, the really creative questions, and interpreting what the AI finds. It could be a totally new way for humans and AI to work together to make discoveries.
So all this brain power, how much can we trust it? Because the source makes a big deal out of these improvements to accuracy that talk about all these internal checks, self-correction mechanisms. It's almost like the AI is double-checking its own work, right? How does that actually work?
So what's really cool is that they've integrated algorithms that allow the AI to actually verify its own outputs. Like it can spot potential errors, flag inconsistencies, and when you combine that with the fact that they've trained it on such high-quality data, well, that significantly reduces the chances of it spitting out wrong information. It makes Gemini 2.0 a much more reliable tool overall.
And the document specifically calls out how good Gemini 2.0 Pro is at programming and math, right? Like it can really understand code, even write its own code that's efficient, error-free. And in math, it can tackle some pretty complex algebra equations. This isn't just your basic calculator stuff, is it?
No, definitely not. This level of competency in those specialized areas like programming and math, it suggests a deeper understanding of the underlying logic, the structures at play. It's not just about recognizing patterns in code or in numbers. It's about actually understanding the principles behind them.
And with that kind of precision, it becomes a much more reliable tool for professionals in all kinds of fields, right? Data analysis, medicine, engineering, law. Oh, and it has these advanced citation and attribution features, which I thought was pretty interesting. Like you could actually see where it got its information from. Why is that so important, do you think?
I think the key here is trust. It's about transparency and accountability. By showing you where the information came from, the AI allows you to actually evaluate those sources, to understand how it reached its conclusions. That kind of transparency is essential for professionals who rely on accurate information to make decisions.
Okay, so let's talk about this multimodality thing, because this feels like a huge leap forward. It's not just about text anymore, right? Gemini 2.0 can understand and process images, audio, video, even code, and it can handle all of that at the same time. What does it actually mean to be able to handle all these different types of information together? Like, why is that such a big deal?
Well, think about how we experience the world, right? We don't just read about things. We see images, we hear sounds, we watch videos. Multimodality allows the AI to process information in a much more holistic way. It can pick up on nuances, understand context in a way that just isn't possible if it's only looking at one type of data. Like imagine trying to understand a presentation, right? Now the AI can process both what's being said and what's being shown visually.
And it opens up a whole world of possibilities for how we interact with AI, right? Like the document talks about being able to give it verbal instructions, but also showing it images, giving it audio examples. It all seems much more natural than just typing everything out. How do you think that will change the way we actually use AI in our everyday lives?
I think it's going to make AI a lot more accessible, a lot more intuitive to use. You'll be able to communicate with AI in a way that feels more like communicating with another person, using a mix of voice, visuals, text. It just feels more natural.
The examples they gave were really cool. Like in education, being able to use text, images, audio all together to adapt to different learning styles. I mean, that could be a game changer for personalized learning. How else do you see multimodality being used in education?
Imagine a student learning about history, right? The AI could analyze a historical document, pull up related images and videos from that time period, even pronounce words in the language they were using back then, like creating a much more immersive, engaging learning experience. And for teachers, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities for creating really dynamic and interactive materials.
So the document also talks about Google's strategy to make all this advanced AI power available to more people, the idea of democratizing AI. They talk about offering different versions of Gemini 2.0 tailored for everything from those everyday apps on your phone to like super specialized enterprise level stuff. And they're optimizing it for different types of hardware, which means it can run on a wider range of devices. What do you think is the strategy behind offering it in so many different ways?
I think they recognize that different people have different needs and different levels of technical know-how, right? By offering all these different versions of Gemini 2.0, they're making this powerful technology accessible to a much broader audience. Like whether you're just someone using an app on their phone or you're a big company needing these complex solutions, there's a version for you. And by optimizing it for all these different types of hardware, well, that means more people can actually use it no matter what kind of device they have.
And they have these platforms, Google AI Studio and Vertex AI, and it sounds like they're designed to give developers these really user-friendly tools to actually build stuff using Gemini 2.0. Tons of documentation, tutorials. So how does making things easier for developers actually translate into benefits for everyday folks like you and me?
Well, when you make it easier for developers to work with this kind of cutting-edge AI, it lowers the barrier to entry, right? So more people can start building new and innovative apps and services that use the power of Gemini 2.0.
Mhm.
And who benefits from that? All of us, right? We get to use those new apps, those new tools.
And they're even releasing experimental versions so people can give feedback. I think that's pretty smart. It's like, let's get this out there, see how people actually use it, and make it better based on real world feedback. Why is user feedback so important when you're developing AI like this?
Well, when you get it out into the real world, that's when you really start to see how people are using it, what the challenges are, what the unexpected benefits might be. So by getting that feedback from actual users, Google can fine-tune the models,
hmm
make sure Gemini 2.0 is actually meeting the needs of the people using it.
So let's talk about the user experience. The document highlights all these improvements they've made, like how quickly it responds, how natural the conversations feel, how they've reduced those awkward delays. It's all about making it feel less robotic, less like you're talking to a computer. What are some of the things they've done that contribute to that more human-like interaction?
One of the big advances is in natural language processing. Like, Gemini 2.0 is way better at understanding the nuances of human language, picking up on those subtleties in tone, in meaning. And when you combine that with faster processing speeds, well, the conversations just flow better. It feels less clunky, more natural.
And it can even like adapt its communication style to match your tone, which I thought was pretty cool. I mean, how does it even do that?
Yeah, it uses some pretty sophisticated algorithms that analyze the language you use, like your word choices, the structure of your sentences, even the sentiment behind what you're saying. And based on that analysis, it can adjust its own language to sort of mirror your style to create a more comfortable, more personalized experience.
And the fact that it remembers what you talked about earlier, that contextual awareness, that seems super important for making the conversation feel more coherent. You're not constantly having to repeat yourself, which is always annoying. How does it manage to keep track of all that context?
The way it's designed, the architecture itself is built to actually retain information from earlier parts of the conversation. It's almost like it's building a memory of your interaction so it can understand your current questions or requests in the context of what you've already discussed.
And it can even adjust how much detail it gives you, how technical it gets based on like who it's talking to. That's got to be super useful for explaining complex things to people who might not have the same level of expertise, right? How does it figure out how much detail to go into?
Yeah, I think it uses a bunch of different cues, right? Like the way you ask questions, the complexity of your language,
Yeah.
it's inferring your level of understanding. And based on that, it can tailor its response, like giving more details to someone who needs them, a more concise answer to someone who's already familiar with the topic.
They also talk about these customizable interfaces and a big emphasis on accessibility, making sure it works with assistive technologies and all that. It sounds like they're really going the extra mile to make this tech usable by as many people as possible. Why is that so important, do you think?
I think the goal is to make sure everyone can benefit from this kind of AI power, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of their abilities or how tech savvy they are. By prioritizing accessibility, by offering all those customizable options, they're trying to make Gemini 2.0 a tool that can empower everyone.
Let's talk about some of the practical applications. In education, the possibilities are pretty mind-blowing, right? Like personalized tutoring, generating different kinds of explanations, creating practice exercises, giving instant feedback. It could really change the way we learn. How do you see that playing out in the real world?
Imagine a student struggling with a concept in math, right? A personalized tutor powered by Gemini 2.0 could figure out exactly where they're getting stuck and then generate explanations specifically designed for their learning style. It could give them practice problems that are just challenging enough and then provide instant feedback to reinforce what they're learning. It's about creating a learning environment that adapts to each individual student.
And for teachers, it could be a huge help, right? Like with creating those innovative teaching materials, but also automating some of those administrative tasks that take up so much time. What kind of stuff could it potentially automate?
Well, it could help with grading, like
Mm.
basic assignments, generating lesson plans, creating supplemental materials. It could even provide those initial responses to common student questions. So it's freeing up teachers' time to actually spend more time with their students, to focus on those things that really require a human touch.
And in healthcare, the potential to help doctors interpret medical images, spot patterns in patient histories, even suggest potential treatments. I mean, that's huge. And the multimodality aspect, being able to look at all those different types of medical data together, that seems especially relevant here. How do you think that could lead to better patient care?
Well, by being able to analyze all that different data, the patient's written records, medical images, sensor data, AI could help doctors make more accurate diagnoses, potentially catch things earlier, and create those more personalized treatment plans. It's about seeing the whole picture, which could lead to better outcomes for patients.
In the business world, the ability to automate tasks, analyze huge amounts of data, generate reports, help with decision making, it all points to greater efficiency, more informed choices, right? And those advanced language skills could be a game changer for companies that work across borders. How do you see that playing out in a global business environment?
Imagine an AI that can instantly translate documents accurately, facilitate meetings with people speaking different languages, and even adapt marketing materials to different cultural contexts. That could streamline operations, break down communication barriers, and open up all kinds of new opportunities for businesses, no matter how big or small they are.
So, big picture, it really sounds like Gemini 2.0 represents a pretty significant leap forward for AI, wouldn't you say? The advancements in how it thinks, how precise it is, that ability to understand multiple types of information, how much more accessible it's becoming, those improvements to the user experience, it all points to a much more powerful, more versatile kind of AI.
Absolutely. This deep dive into the source material really highlights the potential of Gemini 2.0 to be a truly transformative technology with applications in just about every field you can think of. It's not just a little upgrade. It's a real evolution in what AI can do.
And hopefully, this conversation has given you a better understanding of what makes Gemini 2.0 so interesting and what its impact could be. And we did it without getting bogged down in all those technical details.
It's amazing to see how fast things are moving in the world of AI, and Gemini 2.0 is a perfect example of that.
Okay, so here's something to chew on as you go about your day. With AI, like Gemini 2.0, becoming so much more sophisticated, capable of understanding the world, interacting with the world in all these different ways, how do you think that will change the way we humans approach creative work? How will it change the way we collaborate with each other? What new possibilities, what new challenges might we encounter as these kinds of AI become more and more integrated into our lives?